The new Lloydminster Nissan has moved into the Big Blue Building on Highway 16 West, formerly known as Border City RV. Shop in comfort with over 100 new and pre-owned vehicles all inside our giant showroom. This is the largest and the longest indoor sale in the history of the Border City. Sales and service all under one big roof. Come check out the massive savings in this massive building. The new Lloydminster Nissan, now in the Big Blue Building on Highway 16 West. The new Lloydminster Nissan. We won't sell you a car, we'll help you buy one.
Local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Welcome to the Lloydminster Exhibition, the new Lloydminster Nissan Exhibition Grill here at the Lloydminster Exhibition. My name is Kurt Price, of course, and we are excited to be here with you. And the new Lloydminster Nissan is excited to be indoors now in the Big Blue Building on Highway 16 West, and excited because it's going to get cold. If you look at the forecast, it certainly looks like the temperature is going to drop to around minus 25 next week, and highs around there as well. So going to get a little colder. We've had it nice, but it always catches up with you at some point. Well, you can catch up with the new Lloydminster Nissan in the Big Blue Building on Highway 16 West with over 100 new and pre-owned vehicles under the roof. Come see us right now, because in January you get free tires with the purchase of your vehicle, and that's free tires for life. Once again, we're in the Big Blue Building on Highway 16 West. Superior Water is proud to provide you with the purest drinking water possible. I drink it because I like the taste, and I believe it is superior to anyone else's water. I think it's the best water in Lloydminster, and at just $3 a jug, you get a consistent taste. And don't forget, the ice for that Crown Royal is just $2 a bag. Took advantage of that over Christmas, I can tell you that. 2 locations in Lloydminster. Visit them beside Sheepskin Loft on 57th Avenue. And if you need help carrying out those blue jugs, you won't have to ask for it. They also have a coin-operated location for do-it-yourselfers just off Highway 17 South by 7-Eleven. It's Superior Water. Water is what they do, and they do it well. Well, let's really kick off today with the Lloydminster Exhibition's Chase the H, which was not won last night and is now around $66,000, with the next draw coming up Wednesday night here at the Lloyd X at 7:30. 35 cards now remain in the deck, and tickets once again are just $10 a piece, 3 for $25, 8 for $50, or 20 for $100. And getting those tickets is super easy. You can stop in at the Lloydminster Exhibition. You can e-transfer, and if you want the details on how to e-transfer, all you have to do is go to lloydx.com, and if you're there and you want to use your credit card, you can purchase tickets that way as well. The deadline to get your tickets for the 50th anniversary of the Ukrainian Cultural Association's Malanka Dancers Dine and Dance is this Saturday. Get tickets in Mary Brown's for next Saturday night's party, which Amanda Graff tells us is going to be worthy of an organization looking back on 50 fantastic years. Get your tickets ASAP. Once again, those are only available until Saturday. The Lloydminster Gun and Outdoor Sportsman Show is January 20th and 21st at the Service Sports Center. Saturday, the show runs from 10 to 5, and Sunday, 10 to 3. The cost is $10, with kids 12 and under for free. There'll be over 230 tables to browse, and that is sponsored by the Lloydminster Fish and Game Association, and it's a big month for the Lloydminster Fish and Game Association. They also have their Family Wildlife and Awards Banquet coming up on Saturday, January 27th, and along with a great meal which features food that you won't get anywhere else, they also have some fantastic entertainment. A magician that has often been seen on television, Magic Ben, is going to be performing this year, and tickets are only $50 each, and they're only available until January 23rd by visiting Wildside Outdoors, or you can call Dwayne at 780-808-6420. We're looking forward to that one. I, along with Heather Clegg, will be your MC for that. And speaking of being the MCs, we're also the MCs for the Lloydminster Kinsman and Kinnetts Telemiracle Steak Night in support of Telemiracle 48. This year, it features a great supper and Bud's Busted 9-irons, and tickets are $60. And we look forward to seeing you out for a fantastic steak supper and a really great auction and a fun dance with Bud's Busted 9-irons. If you want tickets, you can find any Kinsman member, or you can call Matt at 587-217-5067. Synovus and the Lloydminster Regional Health Foundation present Strength in Unity. Jody Carrington and Ty Smith are going to be in Lloydminster next Saturday, January the 13th, for 2 shows at the Gold Horse Casino. Yeah, that is next Saturday already. Doing the math there. Tickets are $75 each, and those are available at lrhf.ca/events. And Kat Paul are going to join us on Saturday to tell us the details on that one. Tickets are available now for the Marwayne Community Playground Association's Comedy Night. It features Kelly Taylor. Kelly's going to be in Marwayne Saturday, February 10th. He is hilarious, puts on a fantastic show. Supper at 8 and the supper at 6 and the show at 8. Tickets available also on eventbrite.ca. And the night is also going to feature a fun dance. BioClean Disaster Services has sponsored the pool here in Lloydminster, and they're having something really fun coming up with swimming and snowflakes. And when you find BioClean Disaster Services, when you see them all around Lloydminster. Their commitment is to you and your family, and to this community, I would say, as well, because they do a great job supporting it. But if you suffer damage from wind, fire, flood, brings a lot of stress into your life, and a lot of stress and disrupts family living as well. And that's what BioClean Disaster Services cares about. Yes, they take care of your property. That's, of course they do. They take care of your possessions, yes. But they know that your prized possession is your family. And that's what comes first. And getting you back to where you were before the disaster is what their goal is. Once again, they are local. They serve Lloydminster, Wainwright, Bodyville, Cold Lake, and the entire surrounding area. And they take a lot of pride in that, as they should. BioClean Disaster Services, their focus is truly on taking care of you and your family. Call 1-833-246-8326. Well, Becky Shilley is here, and we're going to be talking about Homebase Lloydminster, which is a program that we have had several people come on our show and mention. So today, Becky's going to fill us in on what Homebase Lloydminster is and how it is helping to shelter those on the streets of Lloydminster. We'll have that in just a moment.
At Lloydminster and District Co-op, membership matters more, because being part of a co-op means you're connected to something bigger than yourself. From long-held legacy by those who built our communities to people you call family, friends, and neighbors. When you're a Lloyd Co-op member, you're an owner in a local business that prides itself on purpose alongside profit. You earn cash back, you help support causes that matter most, and you're building a better way of life for the next generation. Membership matters more.
I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeliner, and I've spent the last 15 years reporting on energy in Saskatchewan. PipelineOnline.ca provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
It's more than just taxes at L&A CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at L&A CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. L&A CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster.
At Jason Arden Associates Cooperators, we're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to support the communities we live in. When you support Jason Arden and Associates Cooperators, you are supporting local nonprofits and initiatives. Since 2020, we have donated $60,000 to local nonprofits, youth, sponsorships, and various special projects. When was the last time your insurance company did that?
How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
Welcome back, Lloydminster Exhibition and the new Lloydminster Nissan Exhibition Grow, which, by the way, is closed till January the 24th. Becky Schilly is the Chief Executive Officer with the Olive Tree here in Lloydminster, and we've had several people come on the show and talk about Homebase Lloydminster. Nobody really explains it to us, but they know it's a good thing, and they say it's getting results, and we had Colleen on yesterday, and she mentioned, and we were excited when we could say, "Oh, Becky's coming tomorrow," to kind of explain it to us. So thank you for giving up some time to come talk to us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So Homebase Lloydminster, this is a program.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Program?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a program currently operating under the Olive Tree. So Homebase is a housing first initiative. And housing first just means rapidly housing people that are experiencing homelessness without readiness. So before, we kind of had this belief that people had to deal with addiction issues or financial issues or mental health or whatever circumstances brought them to where they are before they were ready for housing. But housing first is just the opposite. We think that in order for people to make drastic changes in their lives, they need to first have a safe place to live.
Okay, this is a new program. When did you start it?
In August, kind of around that time.
No, I'm not saying homelessness is a new thing. By far, it's been around forever.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it has increased since COVID. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we're still waiting on all the stats, for sure. We've seen it more in Lloyd. I remember growing up in Lloyd, and I won't tell you what era that was, but when I was in high school, there were homeless people that lived on the golf course. So it is something that's always kind of been around. Definitely we're seeing more of it now due to a variety of complex circumstances and situations. But I think definitely we've become more aware of it. I think it's become more of a conversation, at coffee tables or definitely in our line of work. So yeah, it's definitely something that I think as a community we're agreeing that needs to be dealt with, and we need to do something that's different than what we've been doing.
So the Olive Tree, how did it get involved with, hey, we want to get into sheltering people? Is this something Olive Tree has always been trying to do? Because I know it's feeding. I know the Olive Tree feeds a lot of people in our community. But is this a new initiative for the Olive Tree?
It is a new initiative. Typically, when we have a new idea, I've had a slower weekend, and usually I get into some research or reading or what the issues are, and that's kind of how this started. In the spring, I had a slower weekend at home, and so I got into some new reading. The one book that really just made this something that we needed to do was San Francisco. It's a great book about homelessness, basically in California, and how they're what's brought them to where they are and where they're failing and where they need to go. It's a really great book if anyone wants to kind of educate themselves on why we are where we are. But yeah, I brought it to the board, I think mid-spring, and just said, I think this is something that we need to dive into. So we definitely don't want to become a shelter or that sort of thing, but kind of what our role is facilitating people through the red tape, through the bureaucracy, through the what can be really daunting and overwhelming for a lot of people, through the processes so that they can access funding and housing and education or employment or whatever it is that they need.
So were you approached by anybody, or you just said, this is something, we're seeing it more and more, Like, I know downtown is concerned about it. I know the city's concerned about it. I know the province is everybody's concerned about this. Did somebody approach you, or you saw this for yourself and went, we need to try to do something, I'm going to do some research?
Yeah, we weren't formally asked by anyone to, get involved. I'm a fixer by nature, and so oftentimes I'll sit with something for a while, and I sit on the dark, and I sit on the leadership table with the city and all these things. So in all those conversations, and the great thing about sitting on all these committees is I get to see all the different perspectives. So I sit on the dark, so I listen to the downtown businesses and community members and their complaints and their concerns, and I also sit on the leadership team for social services kind of in Lloyd. And so when you get to see both sides, what I like to see is solutions that benefit everybody. So the people that need the services, but also the community and the people offering the services. So that's a challenge that I just really like.
Okay, so you kind of gave us a little bit of a heads up when you said, okay, usually people will get over an addiction and then they'll get them into housing, and it's reversed that way. Is that the core of Homebase? Can you take us through like the core of what Homebase does?
Absolutely. So housing first, the goal is to take people experiencing homelessness, especially chronic homelessness, and usually those are people suffering from trimorbidity, which means, it's not just poverty, or it's not just mental health, or it's not just addictions, it's all of them or a lot of them all together. So it's complicated, and it's harder to find the proper housing for them. So getting them into those, into a safe place to stay, and then wraparound services. You can't just house someone and say, there you go, good luck, pat on the back.
You got to pay taxes, you got to pay this. Yeah. Here's your electric bill will come.
Yeah, and so
a lot of these people don't even have IDs.
Yeah, the complexities of homelessness are we would need many hours to go through it all. But our goal is always community. So our guests or our clients, however you want to refer to them, they're like our family. And so once someone joins our program, until they're sick of us, they're ours. And so it's friendship, it's mentorship, it's preventing isolation, it's helping them get through physical health issues, mental health issues, addiction issues. But sometimes you just need to walk with people. We have lots of people that feel intimidated to go to a doctor or to get their taxes done, or simple things like that. Lloydminster is complicated because we're bi-provincial. So a lot of times what would be easy in another city is 10 times as hard here, because maybe they're living in Saskatchewan, but we find them a great place on the Alberta side. What does that mean? Usually it's very layered and complicated. So we walk with our guests, we find out what their goals are, what do they want for their life, and we help them pursue that. Our version of normal or our version of success is completely different from the next person, and it should be what they want and what their goals are, and we just help them to achieve that.
Who do you work with? Who are your partners? Residence recovery is one that's been mentioned.
Yeah, so they sit at our table. So, like I said, the Olive Tree is under our umbrella right now because it needed to start. So we're just kind of the instigator, I guess, of the program. But Residence and Recovery sits at our table. Saskatchewan Mental Health, Gina Nelson with the Public School Division. Those are formally, we meet every month to go over the highest need clients, for example. It's not first come, first serve, it's best fit or highest need. And so we all kind of agree on who we're all going to put at the top of the list.
Obviously, if you have children.
Yeah, definitely. Or we have some people that are very ill, potentially dying. And so those people would be higher on the list than the next person. Or if they're literally living on the street, a lot of people that are experiencing homelessness might not be actually living outside, but staying on a friend's couch or variety in a hotel, a variety of different things. So,
right.
But we work with everybody in the network and try to work together, because the best solutions always come when we're working on it as a team.
So, how do you do this? How do you shelter someone? Where, you go out and you find a home or an apartment, or are they all homes? Are they all apartments? What?
A variety, yeah. So one of our biggest concerns was finding landlords. We knew that was going to be a thing, and that's a concern. And you know what? It's business, and it should be. And but we've had great success with Lloyd Region Housing Group. They've been just incredible partners with us for this. Métis Housing has been wonderful, but we also have typical commercial contracts. And a lot of the landlords love having us involved because we're another person. And so as soon as someone's in our program and we have them housed, we go visit them every week for an hour in their unit. So we get to have a conversation, how's it going, make sure that maybe if hoarding's an issue, that's not becoming an issue. We take them food hampers every other week. Just kind of stay really involved and connected in their lives. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers that question.
It does.
We kind of have people everywhere. Inclusion means that people are everywhere in the community. So I am not a fan of, building a mega tower and putting all the same kind of people in one area. That's not how you solve problems. Everyone should be included everywhere, and they just have to obey the rules of the building, whatever that may be, pay their rent, and be good tenants and neighbors.
Yeah, they tried that in Saskatoon with something called the Lighthouse. I think it just didn't work.
Yeah. Well, Jan and I have done lots of work. We went to LA in 2018 and we volunteered with the Dream Center, and we went to Skid Row and we went to a lot of those areas and fed people and did work, and that's what everyone's finding. That doesn't work. It's not inclusion.
How do you find the people? Like you say, there's people that are living on people's couches. There's obviously encampments that we've seen in Lloydminster. How do you find them? And I imagine you face some resistance sometimes.
Yeah, but those people aren't ready yet. And I'm a big fan of free will. And so we are here and we'll offer you all the support and the services that you need to achieve your goals. But if you're not ready yet, that's okay. We're still here and we're ready to help you when you choose that.
Are most people ready? Are they trying?
Yeah, I think so. I don't say that in a negative way. I think that if you've suffered a lot of trauma in your life and you have, let's say, addiction issues, mental health issues, whatever, self-esteem is a huge issue. And are you worthy of a better life? Or can you handle the responsibilities that come with a better life?
Right.
There's a lot of, it's a lot more complicated than people think. And, sometimes you watch social media or whatever and you read all the comments, and I just would wish for people to understand how complicated it is. And it's not like people making a decision to choose this or choose that. And we get to hear their stories and they become a part of our family, and so I have so much compassion for them.
That's got to be, I can't imagine, because nobody wants to be homeless. Let's put it that way.
No.
Nobody wants to be homeless at some point, which homelessness can lead to other things as well. But I find it fascinating that you take somebody who is ready to come off the street and then give them a house, and then they start working on their drug addiction or whatever it is. Is that, and you help with that?
That's the hope.
Is your job just strictly, we're going to find you, we got you home now, and we'll find you somebody to help with your drug addiction, or find them a job?
Yeah, best suit for the situation. That's the wonderful thing. All people are different, and so all solutions are different. And so if we get someone hooked up with, let's say, the Salvation Army Food Bank for extra support, and Residents in Recovery for some treatment, or Saskatchewan Mental Health, or whatever, they're still mine. So we still go every week and have our hour with them because they're our friends and they're our family, and so we're going to continue to support them through that. But if they choose to, if they're not ready yet to deal with their addiction issues, that's okay. They're still in our program and we're still housing them, and sometimes it just takes a while for them to recognize that they can have more in life.
When we've had guests on, they've said, you should talk to Becky because Homebase is working. Tell us about how it has, what you've done so far.
Yeah, so we have 15 currently housed in different units around the city. And we've had 2 grads, which is new. So one found employment in Fort Mac and so moved away, and the other is in an outpatient treatment program and housed and doing great on his own. So 17 altogether. Successes, although we don't track numbers because that's an easy way to get defeated. We've been lucky so far. We will lose some. Finland's had great success. There's been lots of great successes in the States. It's about an 85% success rate, but you do definitely have some that can't, that aren't ready to succeed yet. A lot of times it's not getting them housed that is the problem. It's keeping them there. And it's usually about 30 days in to 90 days in where they start to struggle. And I think when you've been in that fight or flight and that survival mode for so long, and all of a sudden you have that safe place and you have food in your fridge and you have all those supports, now you have to start dealing with, what has my life looked like, or what am I ashamed of, or the enormity sometimes of all the things that you want to be different can stress people out, and then they start to fail. So
just looking at this from the outside, I can't, and I know there's people who are going to, what is the cost of this? How are you able to afford this? What is the cost, and what do you need?
The joy of living in Canada is the government.
I thought you were going to say the weather.
Yeah, you'd be wrong.
Yeah.
There are supports for almost all people in almost all situations. So sometimes we have to provide temporary funding, for example, for damage deposits or first month's rent, that sort of thing. Very seldomly. Most of the time, we're able to access other programs or disability or social assistance or child, whatever the scenario is, and they pay for their own rents. But it's navigating those systems that's overwhelming for people. And yes, the end game is employment and self-sufficiency,
and self-esteem.
But some people will never be that, and we have to all be okay with that. Some people lack the capacity to have a job, and that's okay. But how can we make their lives better, which in turn makes the community better, right?
Yeah.
So, the costs, we're looking at doing some bigger things. So we'll talk more about that when we know more about that. But the cost is outreach workers. You need people to love people. When Jana and I were in Skid Row, and that took my breath away, and I can talk a lot, but I was silent there. You can't be in that and even come up with the words of how it's acceptable that people live like that. It was horrible, actually. And so we were talking to one of their outreach workers after, and I just said, how do you deal with this? Where do you start? And he said the same thing, and he said it's people. You need people that can love people and hear their stories, hear their trauma, find out what their goals are, and then walk with them in the journey. And so for us, it's outreach workers. That's the big thing for us. Other things more simple are we need beds all the time. When we put someone into a unit, we furnish it, fill the pantry, that sort of thing. So we're always short on beds. And any other sort of necessities that you'd think of, personal hygiene items, socks, the normal stuff. We definitely need all that as well.
You said something about, it's after the 30 days, the 90 days. What's the reaction to clients when you bring them in and you say, this is, whether it's apartment or house, this is where you're going to live? What, do they believe it?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. I watched a great TED Talk from Finland, and the one gentleman was telling this great story about this lady that they had housed, and she was an older lady and had been homeless for a very, very long time. And the first, few weeks, she wouldn't even sleep in the bed. She put all of her items on the bed. Actually, I think in the first week she slept outside by the dumpster in the back. She just could not. She didn't want to get comfortable in this space because she thought she'd lose it again.
Right.
And so she didn't want to miss it. And the whole story is very successful, and she's been there for a long time now, but he just said he learned so much from watching her and how hard it was for her to just relax in that space. And so we get some of that for sure. Most of what we get is just really appreciative. Wow, I didn't realize it could be this good. Or, thank you for just supporting. So isolation is a huge, huge part of what we do.
That's what I like. Is there a lot of kids?
We haven't housed, oh no, that's not true. We have a couple kids, but not large families. Those are typically more social services or kind of under their umbrella. We seem to be dealing with more, and I think it's because we have the soup kitchen, our free community meals, but our client base seems to be more of the single adults. That's what we've housed the majority of.
Well, and loneliness must come into this at some point as well.
Absolutely.
Their friends would be people who are living on the streets with them.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they?
Yeah, and a lot are estranged from their families for a variety of reasons. And so that their network are the people that are struggling in the same ways that they are.
Is that an issue for Homebase you have somebody who's not ready, but I got a buddy with a place to sleep now. Has that become?
Yeah, one of the most common reasons that people get evicted is for moving other people in.
It is.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why us visiting every week and spending that time with them is so important, and just, reminding them that they have to honor the terms of their lease agreement and those things. But you can also understand why they do it. I mean, if you're on the street, you have your friends that keep you safe and you do stuff, you're very, very close.
I totally understand
And then
that.
if you get a unit and they don't, it'd be a very tricky place to be.
Absolutely. Friends are friends.
Yeah.
Like, how has the support from municipal, provincial, and federal government been?
Well, we haven't been in operation very long. Olive Tree, typically, we just run ahead. So when we see a need somewhere, we're like, okay, we'll just do that. We'll figure out the logistics later.
It's worked for you.
Yeah. Sometimes it stresses my staff out. But, I mean, the city has been great. I talk to them all the time. And, I mean, I'm not even just meaning financially supportive, but like working together and coming up with solutions and advocating for us to the provinces. And I feel very supported by the city. Provinces, same thing. I've had lots of conversations with them, and we're working on some new grant applications now that the Christmas season is over. But yeah, I mean, I think my simple way of looking at complex issues is always the solutions are the small things. And so if everyone in our community just understood homelessness a little bit better, or had a little bit more compassion for the complex issues that bring people to this, and just did one random act of kindness, and I know it sounds cheesy almost, but if we all just did a little tiny bit, we would make such a big difference in the world. And so that's how we try to do everything. And so how can you support Homebase, or how can you support Residents in Recovery, or all the other groups that are working so hard at this? Make a donation, go and volunteer. If you have some things in your house that you don't need anymore, donate them. Those little things all add up and help us to do what we're doing.
You mentioned the world. This is a world problem. This is a global problem. This has become a huge thing in Canada. We see what's happening in Edmonton downtown, in Saskatoon, in Vancouver, everywhere. What's this program? Why isn't it being done in other places, or is it?
It is, yeah. Housing First isn't new. It's like most things. There's different opinions as to what the best solution is, especially when it's such a complicated issue. You can't have one program and think it's going to work everywhere, or in every city, or for every person. And so what works the best is always just being flexible enough to go, okay, well, this program is great and it works for this person, but we need something different for this person. And that's where we're unique, because our funding, we raise a lot of our own money with our social enterprises and things, so we have that ability to be really flexible.
It is in other places, though.
It is,
like
yeah.
So it's not new, but
No, Dr. Sambaras.
it's got to be the hardest way, though, doesn't it? It's not.
I
Well,
don't know
I
if
shouldn't.
any of it's
I don't know
easy.
if I don't know if I should say it that way, because you're having success. There's a lot of programs that don't have success.
For sure. In the book San Francisco, that I was actually in San Francisco while I was reading this book, which was super interesting. But I think that society as a whole, in the book he says, we've allowed victimization to become license. And so the way I look at it is, our hearts and our compassion for people has said, it's okay that you live on the street, or it's okay that you are struggling with addiction, or it's okay and we love you, and so we're just going to allow that. I see it so differently. I think I love you so much that I'm not going to allow that. And so we need to recognize that the way we've been allowing people to live, and I'll go back to Skid Row or to the Tenderloin, which is the same thing in San Francisco, we need to say this isn't acceptable. Not because we don't love you, but because we love you. And we're not going to allow this anymore because we want more for you. And then all of our organizations and governments and municipalities and whatever, we all need to work together to come up with those better solutions.
You mentioned, you can give to these organizations that are helping us, give to the Olive Tree.
Mm-hmm.
Where else can people find more information about Homebase?
On the Olive Trees website.
Okay.
But also people just want to research housing first. There's some great TED Talks on it by Dr. Sambaris, and there's some great different speakers from Finland. But yeah, just researching, read San Francisco, or I love books about human behavior, because that's really what we're dealing with. One of my favorite books ever is The Tipping Point. And that doesn't talk about homelessness, but it talks about why people act the way that they do and how you can make little decisions that can create huge social change. But educate yourself on homelessness, and then use that information to donate to a program that speaks to you, or how you interact with a homeless person.
Well, I think that's the whole thing is, I think you nailed it on the head, is we like to sweep the problem away, but if you look at it head on, and I'm really impressed that you have such success. What's the end goal, Becky? There's always going to be people on the streets.
Always.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you hope, do people kind of graduate from this program? Like, you've put me in this apartment, you've put me in this apartment. You mentioned there was a young man who went up to Fort McMurray. Do people kind of say, you know what, I'm in an apartment, I want a house now, I've got this job, thanks for everything you've done. Like, when do you say goodbye?
They can get rid of us.
When do you say goodbye to them?
I mean, maybe they just get sick of us, but they're in my program forever. And I love that, and that's what it should be. Unless you don't need me, or you move away, or you're just sick of us, they're mine forever. And I think that's part of the problem. In a lot of other programs, or the way it's kind of always been done, is if you graduate out of, let's say, a treatment facility or a shelter or whatever, it's like, okay, you've done your time with us and now you're off, and now they're on their own again. And
Right.
some programs definitely have like aftercare or second stages or those sorts of things, but sometimes it's just the stress of it that can undermine someone's success. So they're mine forever unless they don't want me to be.
We talked to some business owners downtown, and they had expressed, of course, that they're concerned with the homeless downtown. Have you ever been? You've been to Skid Row, you've been to Tenderloin, I know you've been other places. Have you ever been afraid?
No.
Like, would you ever suggest, like?
No, I've been asked that a lot. I'm 5'3". I'm a little. There's nothing to me. I would be in trouble if there was a bad situation. But when we were in Skid Row, we weren't allowed to be there unless we were surrounded by the veterans group, and so you don't go into things foolish.
Right.
But I've never been afraid in my life. Once with the Olive Tree, I put myself in a bad position only because I had someone who was upset and I didn't have an out. And I wasn't afraid, but I thought, okay, well, let's not do that again just in case. But no, I'm not afraid. And I think, the homeless scenario in Lloydminster has become something bigger than it probably is in a lot of people's minds. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be afraid, and if you are, I honor and respect that. And I'm not saying that there aren't a lot of issues going on in the downtown. I'm on the committee, I hear it all. But I've never been afraid, and we've never had any, to my knowledge, attacks on store owners or civilians downtown. I think that it is scary, and if people are struggling with addiction, it can be intimidating. But I guess my experience is different than some.
Is there anything I'm forgetting to ask about Homebase, or anything you want people to know about what is happening in our community? I know
there's so many things.
Well, maybe, yeah, there is a lot
I
of things. But I know one thing is you've asked the city for $60,000.
Yeah.
That has been kind of passed on to the province with that grants you were talking about, right?
Yeah,
But if anybody's wondering.
Yeah, I mean, you can donate on our website. We have something like the Homebase starter kit. So if someone's in their first apartment, you could donate to that and help us buy them a bed or an end table or a lamp or a picture for the wall or whatever that might be. That's beneficial. Always donate where your heart is. Have some knowledge behind that, but to whatever speaks to you. But yeah, I would just encourage people, if you see someone struggling, my suggestion is always not to give them money, but sit and have a conversation. have lunch with them if you have the time and the space for that. But educate yourself. That's what I've been really advocating for lately on the complex issues that our guests struggle with. Not that we should accept behavior that's not acceptable, but then you have a better understanding and a compassion for the position that they're in.
Anything else that you want to mention that I haven't
I can't
thought
think
to
of
ask
anything
her?
else.
Okay. Well, it makes me feel a little bit better
Yeah.
too for not coming up with a question. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking some time, and you do have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
You do have Homebase Lloydminster on
yeah.
Facebook and Instagram. So if anybody wants to find out more information, it's easy to contact the Olive Tree.
Or give us a call. You know, we've had the chamber reached out to us and asked us to come and speak to their board about kind of what we're doing and some advice. And give us a call. Ask questions. We love to chat with people about what's going on.
Have you had any people outside of the community contact you and say, "Hey, I've heard this is working for you"?
Not so much. No, not so much
Okay.
yet for that. For food bank and other things like that, we get that sometimes. But yeah.
Once again, appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with you Saturday. The Lloydminster Regional Health Foundation is going to join us, and they have Jody Carrington coming to Lloydminster. We're going to talk about Dr. Jody and also Ty Smith coming to our city on the weekend, and then there's lots to look forward to next week. January, it maybe feels slow right now, but it's going to pick up a lot in our city very, very shortly. Thanks again to our guest, Becky Shilley from the Olive Tree. We'll talk to you on Saturday.